In the span of just 1 week, the tech world unveiled a plan to spend more money on new infrastructure than the entire GDP of most countries. It's just staggering.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. Over 600 times billion dollars. And that's not a one-time thing. That's the projected annual spending by big tech on the next generation of AI infrastructure. It's an arms race on a scale we've just never seen before.
But here's the thing. All this money isn't just to make our chatbots a little bit faster. No, it's funding a fundamental, ground-up shift in what AI even is. And believe it or not, this massive bet, it's all focused on one single change that separates the AI of yesterday from the AI we're all going to be working with tomorrow. Stick with me, and I'll tell you exactly what that is by the end of this.
So to really get why they're throwing this kind of cash around, we have to start with the problem. I mean, what kind of problem is worth $600 billion?
Okay, let's just try to wrap our heads around these numbers for a second. We're talking about projected capital spending for just one single year, 2026. You've got Amazon planning to spend around $200 billion. That's more than the entire GDP of countries like Greece or New Zealand. Then you have Alphabet at $180 billion, Microsoft at $150, and Meta at $125 billion. I mean, these aren't just tech companies anymore. They're basically turning into these massive, capital-intensive AI utilities. They're literally building the foundation for a whole new era.
Which, brings us right back to that big question. What on earth is the problem? What's the roadblock with AI right now that's so massive it justifies a $600 billion price tag to fix it?
Well, the truth is, the AI that most of us are using today, it's still just a really sophisticated tool. It's more of a Copilot than a true coworker, right? It's awesome for single, one-off tasks, but the second you give it a complex, multi-step project, it just kind of falls apart. It can't own a workflow from start to finish. And here's the real kicker. We don't have a safe way to test and train it for all the chaotic, messy stuff that happens in the real world. The whole foundation is basically under strain.
And that brings us to the first part of the solution. How do you evolve AI from being just a simple assistant into a truly autonomous teammate?
Okay, this right here really gets to the heart of the change. Think about a Copilot AI. It's like a smart assistant. It answers one question, then waits for the next command. It needs you to guide every single step. But an agent is totally different. You give it a big, high-level goal, something like, hey, plan my entire family vacation to Italy. And it just goes. It automatically books the flights, finds the hotels, builds the whole itinerary based on what it knows you like, all without you having to constantly check in. That's the giant leap we're talking about.
And the key concept here, the big term you're going to hear a lot more, is Agentic AI. This isn't just about answering prompts anymore. Forget that. This is about building systems that can take a huge goal, break it down, plan all the little steps, and actually execute the project all the way to completion.
And if you want a mind-blowing example of this in action, look at this. The Allen Institute for AI built an agent they call Theorizer. Now, this thing doesn't just summarize research papers. No, it actually automates the creation of new scientific theories. It literally mines thousands of papers for evidence, synthesizes potential scientific laws from all that data, and then it even critiques its own theories for consistency and novelty. I mean, imagine compressing decades of human research into just a few days. It's basically an entire research team in a box.
Okay, so having a super smart agent is one thing. But how do you actually train it for the absolute chaos of the real world without, causing some kind of catastrophic failure? Well, that brings us to the second part of the solution. You create dream worlds. Basically, these incredible digital sandboxes where these AIs can learn and, more importantly, fail safely. And this quote from Waymo, you just nails the problem. Think about it. You could have a car drive millions of miles in the real world and never, ever run into a true once-in-a-lifetime disaster. But an autonomous car, it has to be ready for exactly that moment.
So what do? They build these dream worlds. Using some incredible tech from Google DeepMind, Waymo can generate these photorealistic, fully interactive simulations of, well, pretty much anything. They can throw tornadoes at the AI driver, floods, animals suddenly running onto the road, even bizarre things like aviation incidents happening nearby. Anything they can dream up, they can test against, all in perfect safety.
This tech is called a world model. And to be clear, it's not just generating a text prompt or an image. It's generating an entire simulated environment. The best way to think about it is like a flight simulator, but for everything. It's a flight simulator for AI, letting it learn from millions and millions of virtual mistakes.
And the implications are huge. This means safer robots, way more reliable supply chains. You could even have AI surgeons practice on millions of virtual patients before they ever touch a real person.
All right, so we've got smarter AIs, these agents, and we've got these safe virtual worlds for them to train in. The final piece of the puzzle, you got to build the actual foundation, the bedrock infrastructure to support this whole new world.
Now on the software side, you're seeing deals like this, $200 million partnership between Snowflake and OpenAI. And this is so critical. See, instead of a company having to pull all of its sensitive data out to send it to an AI, this deal brings the AI directly to the data. This is a game changer because it allows these new autonomous agents to work securely right on a company's most private, most valuable information. That's how you unlock real productivity.
And then, of course, you've got the hardware, the physical stuff this all runs on. Look at this number, $1 billion. Now, you might think that's for a giant like NVIDIA, right? Nope. That's the latest funding for a single startup called Cerebras Systems, and they're building a totally different kind of AI chip.
And here's why that's such a big deal. Instead of tiny GPUs, Cerebras is building these massive wafer-scale engines. A single one of their chips is 56 times bigger than a large GPU, and it's aiming for more than 20 times the performance for certain AI jobs. Seeing this kind of money pour into a new hardware approach, it tells you the industry isn't just upgrading, they're rebuilding the entire hardware foundation of AI from scratch.
Okay, we've talked about the smarter agents, the virtual dream worlds, and the brand new foundations being built. So let's finally close that loop I opened for you at the very beginning.
So, what is it? What is that single biggest change that this $600 billion arms race is funding?
This is it. The single biggest shift is from seeing AI as a tool to seeing it as a partner. In the past, you told an AI exactly what to do step by step. It was basically a calculator. But in the future, that's being built as we speak, you just give it a goal to achieve. It's not the calculator anymore, it's the accountant. You don't tell it how to do the books, you just tell it to manage the finances.
So the whole takeaway here is this. The next big wave of AI isn't about getting better at asking questions. It's about getting better at assigning projects. It's about handing off complex goals to these autonomous agents and letting them run in these simulated worlds to figure it out. And that changes absolutely everything about how we're going to work and solve problems.
Which brings me to my question for you today. Now that you're thinking about AI not as a tool but as a real teammate, what's one complex project or task from your own life that you would just love to assign to an autonomous AI partner? Get creative, get ambitious. Drop your ideas in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what you come up with.